Susannah Jaffer is an entrepreneur, founder of Zarin, and an empowered woman. Her willingness to give back, eagerness to do good, and ability to persevere are just some of the many factors that make her the inspiring person that she is today.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of In Love with Me, where we feature inspiring individuals who will share their amazing stories. I am your host, Mafe Yunan Velasco, and for this series, our topic is the Art of Reinvention. And we all know the world is filled with leaders and game changers of all ages and backgrounds. This season, we aim to highlight people who make a positive impact in the world around them through their actions and words. So today joining us is an entrepreneur, the founder of Zarin. She is a force to be reckoned with in doing what she does with passion as a result of her reinvention. So let's welcome to In Love With Me series community. Let's all welcome Susannah Jaffer. Hi, Susannah.
Hi, Mafe, thanks for having me.
Of course, I've been excited to have you ever since I started learning about what you do and the amazing things that you have created for the world, not just, where you are, obviously in Singapore right now. So before anything though, before we get into the nitty gritty of what you do and what's going on or what's about to happen soon, please share with the community here who's tuned in a little bit about yourself. I know there's a lot of new eyes here, excited to know who you are. So maybe a little bit of your background, who you are, and what you do.
Okay. Hi, everyone. Great to be here. My name's Susannah. I am living in Singapore for the last 10 years. I'm originally from the UK. So I've been living in Asia for quite a while. My background is English and Indian, so I'm not a stranger to Asian culture, but it's still an interesting time, I think, to be in Asia with all the developments that are happening and everything that's going on. I have been working in media for most of my career, in magazines and in PR here in Singapore until I started my own business, Zarin, 4 years ago, which is a multi-brand retailer and media platform that is working with lots of independent, sustainable labels and championing conscious consumption. And we have been still a startup, but we have been basically working with a lot of really amazing emerging designers and championing a more conscious form of creativity here in Asia and beyond as well, because we're working with a lot of regional brands and a lot of our content is more international. So that's really exciting. And it's now 4 years that we have been around. This is about our 4th birthday. So that's really cool.
Wow.
Yeah, really awesome. Really awesome.
Well, happy birthday. Happy 4th birthday or happy 4th anniversary to you and Zarin. And of course, the reason why I wanted to share you with the world right now is because you are making a difference. You're making a difference where it is environmental friendly, educational with, of course, trends, most especially fashion. So let's start with that. What kind of initiatives have you had in place to protect the environment?
Yeah, so number one, as a multi-label retailer, we curate in a very specific way to ensure that we are bringing together brands that are beautiful, creative, but also championing sustainable values and have a tangible social impact. So we actually have a framework that we developed ourselves in-house called our Better Brand Framework. And that looks at 5 core aspects, 5 Ps, as we call them, that are different facets of what we believe can create a better brand. So that's people, planet, packaging, product, and principles. So we look at how a brand approaches those when they come to us to work with us or when we are curating ourselves. And we look at their practices underneath that. For example, the fabrics they're using, the communities they're working with, are they paying living wages? Are they using less plastic or no plastic, ideally, in their packaging process. But at the same time as looking at that, we are also looking at ways that we can help them improve the way that they approach their 5 Ps. And I think that's been one of the most enriching things actually to do, is to be able to help, not just through Zarin, our retail platform, to as a retail and marketing channel, but also to help them inside their brands improve their practices from the inside out. And we're able to network them and connect them with other people that are in our networking community, and that's been, I think, enriching for us and enriching for them at the same time. On a personal level, for our own platform, beyond our curation and the fact that we curate as sustainable brands as possible, we also utilize a lot of content to drive education around sustainability, from interviewing thought leaders, and also through events and talks, things like that we do. On the other side, we have a creative agency, Zarin Studio, which is zarinstudio.com. I'm a photographer. I wasn't trained as a photographer, but I picked it up when I started my business because I had to. And that really, as we all have to when we start our own businesses, pick up things that we didn't think that we'd do. And that really turned into a whole different side of the company. So we're actually shooting campaigns, consulting, from brand consulting to sustainability consulting for different companies. So we're working across a spectrum, really, in kind of both curating and creating better brands, and trying to also help demystify sustainable consumption through our content, whether it's infographics on Instagram, whether it's through events and talks that we curate and put together. On our side, we have a no virgin polyester policy on the platform, which is because synthetic fabrics they don't biodegrade. They're made from fossil fuels, and they release microplastics when you wash them. And not just that, they feel hot and stuffy to wear as well, especially in the Asia climate. So we try and steer clear of those. We implemented that last year, actually, but we don't have any virgin polyester. And we also plant trees for every order through a partnership with a company in Indonesia. So that's really interesting and really cool. And yes, so a number of different things that we've been doing. And we're trying to develop, especially our framework for the next year, to really kind of push that forward, because it's been something that's been quite internal so far.
Right.
But yeah.
I love that. So all the fashionistas who are listening right now, I hope you learned a little bit about, understanding where your clothes come from and how you can help the environment. You can still feel good, look good, but being educated on making sure that, of course, our world is taken care of at the same time can also make you look even more amazing, right? So with all of you, what you shared, Susannah, I'm sure that the inspiration started from somewhere, right? I'm sure you had mentors that you could share with us with, and maybe how they inspired you on what you are doing right now.
I think that the reason why I got to where I am now, and being passionate or interested in sustainability in fashion, is through my own experience of working in the media fashion industry. I was a fashion and beauty editor, and later on a creative director at the magazine I was working at. And I think on a personal level, I've never felt like a fashion industry insider. I've always felt like I was more of the girl with the frizzy big hair at fashion events, and I was always like not as into these aspects of fashion that or events that a lot of people are within this industry, which is more ego driven and pretentious, and like quite you're into the free things and the cool parties and all of that kind of thing. That was never me. I was always very intrigued by the stories behind brands, collections, and yes, the quality of garments and the creativity of garments and how that made you feel. it's not something I came to realize until after, when I actually started my business and kind of connected the dots. But I think that I felt like a bit at odds with my job. And I came from, the UK, which is a big developed fast fashion consumption, you know, consumer community. So I grew up with, shopping on ASOS and being really comfortable with that. But the pace of consumption here is different. And Singapore, I think, as a country, isn't a place that's rooted in fashion history like Europe, the UK is. So it was a different kind of environment. And I think I started to grow up, at odds with, number one, the quality of clothing, because I've never been kind of driven by big brand names, and at the same time, fast fashion wise, I didn't want to wear the same thing as everyone else. And these are clothes that can often fall apart. And I felt that I just couldn't find myself in any of those spaces anymore. And as an editor, my job was to perpetuate that by writing about that content. And even, drugstore beauty products, I didn't find them very good for my skin. I was constantly, as a beauty editor, trying lots and lots of different things. And sometimes your skin would break out and it would be a nightmare, and you'd have reactions to things, and you'd have to test things for beauty columns and things like that. So I just didn't see myself in that space anymore. But I knew that I loved the industry, and I still wanted to find a way to take part in it. And on my side, I found that learning more about independent brands and designers that were away from the mainstream, that actually really inspired me. I wouldn't maybe say they were mentors as such, but I got to know a whole different side of the industry through the lens and experience of these smaller brands and entrepreneurs who really showed me that there can be a different narrative around fashion, consumption, and creativity. And that could take on a whole new meaning. And that kind of reignited my own inspiration behind my job, really. And I realized that, I couldn't stay at a magazine because I couldn't really write about this kind of content there, because it's, advertiser driven and everything. And I just started to realize that I had to find something that I could do within this space to both uplift them, because a lot of these brands struggled with marketing themselves, telling their story in a way that I felt that I could do in a natural way, because that was, my skill set, as it were. I never thought of these things in that way at the time. It was all a very natural kind of an intuitive thing. And yeah, I think that was the inspiration point from where everything sparked, as well as learning and educating myself more about the impact of the industry, how polluting and exploitative it is. And that made me realize that there has to be a better way to do consumption. There has to be a kinder, more planet friendly, but still creative way to do consumption. So that really was something that sparked all of that inspiration for me. I would say that all of the brands around me were mini mentors and sparks of inspiration, as well as, people I met on that journey and connected with before starting my business. And yeah.
Amazing. And speaking about that, I mean, for myself also, just witnessing Filipino designers here in the Philippines and how they really create creations that are from the heart, and using even materials that are part of our culture, and understanding that background, and then just supporting local. I'm sure also over there in Singapore, there's so many, support in that aspect. But for the everyday people, I know we were talking about that already, and within fashion is like a huge thing for everybody. When it comes to fashion and sustainability, there's so many questions. How do we even learn about that, right? So, what can you share are the main sustainability approaches?
There's so many ways that anyone can engage with sustainable fashion consumption. I strongly believe that no matter what your budget, no matter what your style preference, because number one, the most sustainable thing is the clothes that you already have. So I think that a lot of us are not used to wearing and re-wearing the things that we already have, and also styling them in new ways. I think that, the culture of consumption and fast fashion has actually discouraged us from thinking about how we pair things together on a base level. I've noticed that just through interactions with customers that we have in our store. We have a small physical store in Singapore, and that's always been really interesting. And I realized that about my own habits as well. So finding new ways to style things that you already own together. I think that, for those that are, if you're looking for a new item, there are plenty of interesting, sustainable brands that are producing amazing quality products that aren't necessarily more expensive than going to shop at Topshop or Zara, or Mango. There are many different companies that are creating products from basics to prints. There are products that are slightly more expensive. That's due to traditional crafts or premium fabrics. And I think what not a lot of people realize is that, and when we curate anyway, sustainability should also equal really high quality. Even if it's a product that is, $30, $40, I think that that's really, really key and important. So you can support a your ethical brand, you can shop your own wardrobe, you can thrift, buy secondhand, you can rent clothing for special occasions, which I think is a big thing in Asia, where there are a lot of events and things happening. I think rental is amazing. It's really taking off in Europe at the moment and the US. I think predominantly because these markets are a lot more open right now and people are going out a lot more than they are in Asia. But I think that will make a big comeback towards the end of next year. I hope before that, mid next year. And rental is an amazing thing. Clothes swapping, which is, I think there's a couple of places in the Philippines as well that are opening now for clothes swapping. There's a couple of businesses that I've heard of, and clothes swapping is becoming really, really big here in Singapore and abroad as well, which is a great way to dip into trends and get your fashion fix, but in a secondhand, more eco-friendly way, in a more circular way. There's so many different options, and I think that there is a way for anyone to engage with fashion more sustainably. And ultimately, it's a mindset shift. It's not about going and buying all the sustainable stuff. It's about actually, and I say that as someone who owns a retail store selling sustainable brands, like it would be dishonest of me to say the most sustainable thing is to go and get yourself a whole new wardrobe of sustainable stuff, because ultimately, and how I try and approach it myself is, I look at something and I'm like, do I really love this? And am I going to wear it, well over 30 times? Am I going to, can I pass it on to someone else if I were to grow tired of it, or does it pair with other things in my wardrobe? I try and give myself a week, 2 weeks, or even more sometimes. I've sat and thought about a dress for 3-4 months in the past, to the point that then it's not actually available anymore. But yeah, I try and ultimately being more mindful about how and why you shop, because ultimately, we're trained from a very, very young age to be hyper consumers and to not think about value. I think that our notions of value are not even there sometimes, because historically brands have really kind of pulled the wool over our eyes on what it really takes to make a garment, or the true cost. And all we see is kind of cheaper prices in a store, $3.99 for a t-shirt, great, I'll buy 6. Whereas they may eventually fall apart over 6 months. You could have spent $40 on or $35 on 2 t-shirts that would last you for 2 years, and I think that cost per wear is something I try and think of a lot as well now, so that I'm not scared off sometimes. If there's something that's a slightly higher price point and I really like it, I feel better about buying it if I'm able to actually know that I'm going to wear it a lot and actually get my money's worth, how I'm spending my hard-earned money. So yeah, I try and think of it that way. We have lots of content on Zarin about this, about the different ways you can engage with sustainability on our Instagram, and also on our website. We write a lot of articles about it. So I think that that's really important, and that's a message that we're really trying to spread, is that there's so many different ways you can engage with this space.
Yes, guys. So please do check out Susannah's social media and their website, because if you love fashion, then you're able to educate yourself even more on how to be sustainable, or a sustainable fashion. But just like Susannah's advocacy here. And while you speaking, even me, I reinvent all my t-shirts. I reinvent all my jeans when it gets hot or the season changes, or even I pass it down now to my daughter. But if you can just be very creative on maybe the styling, and especially when you have family in your home, right? Just like what Susannah shared, is the swapping. You can even not really rent, just borrow it and style it in a certain way so that you don't go out and actually have to buy. We talk about even just having the media as your inspiration. I mean, you can really copy a look from a magazine or even online with the clothes that you have, right? So that even if it's a different color, like, you can still do that, guys. So, be your authentic self, but at the same time, you're saving the world, just like what Susannah's doing. So just sit back and relax, guys. Let's watch this real quick, which is all about authenticity online. And we'll learn more about Susannah after we watch this.
The social media world is a fast-paced international stage. But what if we told you there is one platform out there that puts Filipino voices first? That's right. Welcome to the community, the heart of the #1 Pinoy live streaming app, Kumu. With our users and members from across the globe, you can be assured that the community is a diverse, exciting collective championing Filipino culture, and we are thriving. What makes the community unique from all other social media communities? It's how we leverage innovative technologies to suit every Filipino's creative style, putting their voices first. Get in on the action with live streaming with our community. Learn from the best content creators where you watch the community stage, which hosts a variety of shows every single week. Too shy for the camera? No worries. We've got audio streaming for that. Don't want to do it alone? Easy. Have your barkada go live with you. Or maybe quick short videos are more your thing. We've got Kumu Clips for that. Looking for your online tribe? We've got a lot of teams here in the community. Within the community, you can be guaranteed that we keep things positive, authentic, and fun. With Kumu moderators all over the app, we keep our commitment to make this platform a safe space for all. It's why we've been dubbed the Disneyland of social media. We make Kumu the funnest, best place to be for all. Sama all talaga. Be part of the community. Tara na sa Kumu, where authentic connections happen.
So welcome back, guys. I have Susannah here from Zarin, and like I mentioned earlier, our topic is reinvention. So Susannah, I do want to ask you, how did reinvention play a role in making a name for yourself? Of course, getting to the passion and the business that you're in from the media world that you mentioned earlier, and maybe before that, because I know reinvention plays a huge role in everybody's lives.
Yeah. I think that reinvention is not something I've actually thought of a word to use like that before you've just shared, but I think that reinvention has been quite a big thing in my life. Moving to a new country. I moved here to Singapore when I was 21. I had, 400, 500 pounds in my bank account. I was not here. I was a broke student, literally, coming to start a new job. I did move here with my boyfriend, and we both found jobs to move here. But I think that I look back and I think that was a bit naive. Like, I would have told the old me, like, don't do it. Like, what are you doing? But yeah, we just wanted, an adventure and to start a different life experience. It was originally, we planned to be here for 2 years and see how it went, and we're here 10 years later. I think that being here was, moving here at that age, while I considered myself an adult, and I think that I was very there was a lot of things that I had to learn, and there was a lot of things that I had to find ways to adapt culturally in some ways, yes, but also just, building a whole life and in a whole new city, I guess. And in many ways, I've had to kind of really, really kind of work on myself in that process to kind of keep myself motivated, inspired, and also feeling like secure, in a new space, in a new place. And I think that starting my business later on, I mean, I'm not one of these people that ever thought to myself, oh, I want to be an entrepreneur. My dad is an entrepreneur. He's an immigrant to the UK. So he's always, largely always run his own businesses. And I don't know, maybe that's a subconscious inspiration, but I never thought I would follow in his footsteps to own my own thing. He kind of went to the UK when he was 21 to be an accountant, and then brought his whole family over on a boat. So I think that in some ways he influenced me growing up. And I realized that my own work habits now as an entrepreneur are similar to my dad's, which is a bit scary. I think those kind of things, die hard. But I think that ultimately, I think entrepreneurship has been one of my biggest reinvention, because it's like the most risky thing that I could have really done. Moving to a new country is kind of starting my own enterprise. And when I started this, I was like, 26, 27. And I didn't really know anything about running a business, but I think that having to be entrepreneurial in my role in the kind of medium-sized publishing company that I was at helped train me for that without me realizing, because I had to do so many things, wear so many hats, which you have to as an entrepreneur. And even aspects of my business where I've kind of like, all of a sudden people here know me as a photographer. 6-7 years ago, I was like directing shoots for covers and things like that, but I didn't know anything about using a camera. I had a fashion blog at the time and kind of had a small thing that I could use and, point and click, but I was not technically aware of photography in the way that I am now. And I think all of these little facets and lessons have made me strongly believe that I believe anyone can actually reinvent themselves or change or learn if you put your mind to it. A lot of the reasons why, like for example, with photography, it's actually quite a big one. I just didn't have the budget to keep hiring a photographer to take photos for my platform. And coming from a media background, I wanted to create lots of great original content, because when I started Zarin, I knew that I wanted us to have a strong educational media side so that we could actually kind of reframe mindsets around consumption and share all the amazing things that are happening. But that meant stubborn me. I wanted to have all our own photos and everything. So I had to learn. And from that, really, out of the blue, I had brands then asking me, hey, who's creating your content? And I was like, oh, it's me, little me. And they were like, oh, well, would you think about, I love your work. Would you shoot our next collection, or would you shoot this for me? And everything was word of mouth. And actually a lot of our business is still word of mouth. And I think that I kind of took that in my stride, and in one hand, I was like, okay, this is another side of the business that we can develop. Eventually, I saw it in that way, but I think that it just goes to show that you can really put your mind to anything, because, 6 years ago, I was not a photographer getting booked to jobs and knew nothing about photography. And it wasn't even something I planned to do. It was a business necessity. And I grew to realize that I loved it. So I think that, if you really put your mind to anything and you want to reinvent yourself in a way or become better at something, because I think reinvention can be small steps. I think that there's small changes that you can make that can, refresh your outlook. And because I think reinvention is sometimes it's about a change of perspective, you know what I mean? And how you approach things. And that's happened to me at different stages of my career and my personal life. And I think that, I'm a strong believer. And I say this quite transparently, even on my personal IG posts in the past, I've said, I believe that anyone can do something if they put their mind to it. within that space, because I have, and I'm not like a special case, so do you know what I mean?
Well,
So,
you are, because you're so inspiring. It goes to show that, guys, you put your head down and just uh, fulfill that passion of wanting to make a difference in the world. It does become a ripple effect. It does become a manifestation. And now that the right eyes, and I always share this in my workshops, and I've learned this from my life coaches, that you are at the right place at the right time with the right people. And with you, Susannah, just listening to your story, I want to hear so much more. And I know you have such an exciting announcement to share with everyone. I don't know if you're ready to share it here, but I know that they can find you on your social media, right, and your website. So please go ahead and invite everyone to where they can find you.
yes, so we are online at Zeren.com, and we are on Instagram, TikTok, and LinkedIn, because I love LinkedIn these days as a platform. It's really interesting, at Zeren_com. So those are the spaces where you can find us. We also do run a lot of events that are online with lots of speakers regionally, and anyone can attend those, thankfully, because they're virtual. So if you're interested in learning more about, the clean beauty, sustainable fashion, mindful consumption, sustainable entrepreneurship, how to build a sustainable business, any of that, please follow us and look out for announcements about those talks. Yeah.
Yes. And speaking of LinkedIn, we are live on LinkedIn right now, also on Kumu and Facebook. And of course, you can watch the replay on our YouTube channel and also our Spotify account, which you will see on the caption. So before we wrap up, Susannah, I want to get to know you even more, but I have a fun activity that is just something light for our viewers to learn more about you. And it's inspired by that book, Strengths Finder. But I tweaked it a little bit and just made it fun. So if you're game, just give me a thumbs up, and I will start asking you these questions. And whatever comes up in your mind, just share it. Okay? Don't worry, they're not like hard questions. They're just fun ones. All right. So the first question is, what is your dream job? If you had another chance to have another dream job, because I'm pretty sure you're in your dream job already.
I'd be a TV presenter.
Oh, well, let's manifest that. Okay, next. What is your hidden talent?
I am better at the piano than I am at anything else.
Nice. We got to hear that. Okay, next. Describe yourself in 3 words.
Honest, motivated, stubborn.
Okay, next. Tell us about the last thing you bought, which would be considered socially or environmentally sustainable. And why did you choose it?
What have I recently? Oh my God, I haven't bought a lot of stuff recently. I recently.
Well, what you can think of?
Yeah, I didn't actually buy, but I actually recently swapped a skirt from my neighbor, who's the Fashion Pulpit, an amazing business. Please follow them as well. They are a swapping and thrift store, which are next to our physical store in Singapore. And I found a really gorgeous purple pleated skirt inside one evening. And I love wearing skirts because I'm in t-shirts a lot of the time, and I love pairing them with different bottoms. And yeah, I found a really gorgeous purple skirt, and it was swaps, and it was, secondhand. So I wasn't buying something new in that respect. And I was reusing clothes that were already out there. So that's the cool thing about swapping. And yeah, that was my most recent new clothing acquisition, actually. Yeah. I have another piece of something that I want to buy from another sustainable brand, that from my own company, which is coming up, which I'm excited for. But I've planned it.
Which leads me to my next question. What is your favorite brand that promotes sustainable fashion? I know there's a long list.
Yeah. Can I give 2?
You can give a few.
Can I give?
Yeah.
Okay, one of them is Dorsu. It's a company based in Cambodia. They are amazing. They actually do all of their own production and they create all their products, which are beautiful, affordable, actually, capsule wardrobe basics, t-shirts, great dresses, great jumpsuits, monochrome tones. From a really great cotton jersey fabric that's actually dead stock because they source it from the local fabric markets in Cambodia, which are, and this fabric, which comes in big rolls, is actually sold on to them from big factories that produce for a lot of international brands, and they just buy too much fabric and the markets sell them so the factories don't throw them away, but eventually if they're not sold at the markets then they're discarded. So they kind of had this whole local production and, you know, reducing waste, and they actually created the label looking at what was out there versus coming up with the inspiration first and then starting and then finding their supply chain, which I found was really interesting. And they're just really inspirational and are really creating a great environment for Cambodian garment workers to work in. They actually pay their garment workers in their team 30% above the national living wage, which I think is really important because, yeah, I think they're awesome. Another brand is Maisha Concept, which is founded by a lady called Raki. She is Indian Kenyan. She grew up in Kenya, but she's of Indian heritage. And this label, she works very closely with her partners in and her, well, literally she's producing in villages and she travels there to get to know the families that she's working with and kind of takes you on that journey and is very transparent and traceable in terms of how she produces. And the clothes are just beautiful, you know, beautiful prints, colors, fabrics, textures, and all made sort of from an organic fabric, but they're just joyful clothes. And yeah, it's just a brand with so much cultural richness that, yeah, you can't help but love it. Yeah. And I have Maisha Concept skirts that I pair with my Dorsu plain tees. So that's also, they're a great match and combination. So yeah, two brands I love. There's too many, but those are two that come to my mind.
Well, guys, you know where to find Susannah and check out her IG because I'm sure she shares a lot of her fashion and also supporting the sustainable fashion designers and suppliers. And lastly, I'm always curious about this when it comes to empowered women like you. How do you treat yourself lavishly in terms of self-love?
Oh, I'm learning to. I think it's something that, you know, I'm quite hard on myself, and I've realized that this year has been challenging for everyone, but I think that at points I've been on the tip of burning out quite badly, and I've learned that taking more time to give myself a real break feels like a lavish thing to me right now. But sometimes I find that, and a break doesn't mean that you're just like vegetating watching Netflix, which sometimes I do. I was doing yesterday, watching Selling Sunsets on Netflix. But
Yes.
sometimes it literally, yeah, it's great. But sometimes it's literally just, you know, doing something different that's out of your ordinary routine and making sure you get time every week to do that. Because I find that not only does that rest your mind, it just refreshes your perspective on everything. And so I read something earlier, which was really interesting, that sometimes you don't have to be doing something like, oh, it was a quote about time. Time is different. Like, and sometimes it's more value to spend a small amount of time doing something that's really quality for you, like, you know, an hour gym session or something that is your quality time versus a lot of time spent doing like other things that, you know, are your daily routine. I think that, you know, sometimes just even that 1 or 2 hours for yourself can be so valuable and energizing if you find the things that energize you. For me, that's like just taking an extra long time to walk my dog and do a proper walk. And like, you know, I find that just those simple things, if I make time for them, really refresh my perspective and are my form of self-care right now, especially because I'm, away from my family for nearly 2.5 years. I haven't seen my parents, my friends, and that's not easy mentally. So making more time for those things has helped my mental health and have been my form of self-care.
Yes. Thank you for that, and I do appreciate your time. I know that you're a busy woman, and all your sharing here is much appreciated. It's things that a lot of people need to hear right now. So I hope that everybody out there has enjoyed this interview. I will have Susannah get a chance again to invite you guys. But before that, I want to thank, of course, without this show today, a very special sponsor that is going to be shown just for a few minutes. So I'll see you guys after that.
Here at Buoyant, quality air is our business. We design, fabricate, and assemble high-quality air filter systems and products with state-of-the-art facilities. As the leading local air filtration service provider at the heart of the southern region, Buoyant caters to various sectors in the medical field, semiconductor and electronics production, food and beverages production, cement manufacturing, pharmaceuticals, and many other industries to meet their needs for the best air quality. Here at Buoyant, we stay true to our commitment to quality as we are ISO certified and follow world-class standards, ensuring that our products and our services are trusted and the best in the business. In a world of disinformation, here at Buoyant, we truly care about educating our clients because we care about you and the air you breathe. Make the right choice. Start breathing clean air today with Buoyant, providing quality air for everyone.
And a special shout out to Ms. Laverne Chipetto, of course, the CEO and founder of Buoyant. Thank you. Without you, this episode would not be possible. So, of course, Susannah, thank you. It has been almost an hour of an amazing discussion and me learning more about you. And I hope everybody has enjoyed this episode. Once again, Susannah, please invite them to where they can find you, or maybe upcoming events or exciting things that you want to share with everyone that they should look out for.
Yeah, so please find us at zarin.com and at zarin.com on IG, which we're there. Is probably our most active social platform. And yeah, we are also really excited to share that we will be launching our own podcast next year. And I'm really excited about that. So we've been working behind the scenes on that for a while. And it's really going to be all about a show exploring how we can create and consume more consciously, and interviewing lots of really amazing thought leaders and entrepreneurs and individuals to have real, genuine, authentic, and honest conversations about that space and progressive conversations. I'm really excited for that, actually. And yeah, so that's happening next year. And
me too. Well, congratulations. You have been such an inspiration to many. And again, happy anniversary, your 4th anniversary for Zarin. And so, guys, when you have fun, time flies. So thank you so much, Susannah, for all the things that you've shared today. And thank you so much, everyone, for showing support and joining us. This is actually the final episode for 2021 of In Love With Me. So watch out also, guys, for our new season starting in February 2022. So I hope everybody has an amazing Christmas and New Year to come. And maraming salamat po to everyone who has supported this year and all the amazing, beautiful women and men who have honored us in this show. So once again, I am Mafe Yunam Velasco, reminding you that you should love and be proud of your own story to tell. And don't forget, actions speak louder than words. And again, thank you for tuning in this episode of In Love With Me. Merry Christmas, everyone. Thank you, Susannah.
Thank you for watching In Love with Me series.